You ever have a night so bad, so out of left field that your whole life splits clean in two, before and after? Yeah, I thought moving my family out to a quiet Texas ranch would finally give us some peace. Just a little breathing room from all the noise. Turns out I was dead wrong. 'Cause I'll never forget the night a bulldozer with a fake demolition order came barreling right for my son's bedroom window. Or the moment a man kicked down my front door waving a crowbar, screaming that we didn't belong here. That's when it hit me. These folks weren't just coming after my land. No, they wanted to erase my whole family. My name's Jack Carter, and this is the night everything blew apart. Funny what sticks with you, the sound that started it all wasn't the wind or coyotes or anything natural. It was metal slamming against wood, violent and mean. Laura gasped right behind me. I turned just in time to see the front door explode inward, splinters flying across the floor like shrapnel. Then the silhouette stepped through and the light caught his face. Todd Kensington, HOA board member, professional pain in my rear. He stood there, white-knuckled fists gripping a crowbar, voice coming out all cracked and hateful. "You were told to leave." Laura snatched Emma close. Luke just clung to her leg, shaking like a leaf. I stepped up, put myself between them. Todd put that down. He didn't. He lunged. People say time slows down in moments like that. Nah, it sped up for me. I drew my pistol, fired one shot. The whole house seemed to shake with the blast. Todd staggered back, dropped the crowbar, clutching his shoulder, blood already soaking through his shirt. But then he smiled. I mean, a sick, bloody smile. "You just fell for it, Carter. You're done." Even bleeding, he looked triumphant. And before I could blink, sirens, red and blue lights flashed through the window. That's when I realized. It'd been less than 30 seconds since I'd pulled the trigger. No sheriff in Texas gets out here that fast, not unless they were already waiting. 3 cruisers tore down my gravel drive, boots thundered up the steps, flashlights blasted through the house, dropped the weapon, hands up. Now, I set the gun down, hands in the air. Laura was sobbing, begging them to listen. He was protecting us. But nobody heard. Cold steel clamped around my wrists. My kids watching as the deputies dragged me away. Luke's voice cracked. "Daddy, are they taking you away?" I couldn't answer, couldn't promise anything. Outside, Todd lay on a stretcher, still grinning at me, like he'd already won. And as the cruiser rolled down my long driveway, I felt it in my bones. This wasn't just some break-in. This was the opening shot of a war. Not a war I wanted, but one aimed straight at my family. But to understand how we got there, you got to rewind back to the day we thought we'd finally found paradise. That's what people forget. Paradise always comes before the fall. Ours started when we first saw that ranch nestled under the Texas sun. I remember rolling down the windows to smell the cedar trees, Laura smiling in that way she hadn't since we were young. The kids were in the back, faces pressed to the glass, counting cows and wildflowers like the world was brand new. The realtor was this old-timer with a bolo tie, smelled like peppermint, and he just said, "Land like this don't argue with you. It lets you breathe." He was right. The house wasn't fancy, paint-peeling, tin roof singing when the wind blew, but the porch. Oh man, the porch was made for coffee rocking chairs and watching the world change colors at sunset. Laura stepped onto that porch like she belonged there. "I can see the kids growing up here," she whispered. We signed the papers that afternoon, no hesitation. For a while, life was everything we dreamed. Sundays smelled like Laura's pecan pie, evenings were fireflies and giggles, and nights were so quiet you could hear the grass talking in the breeze. I built a treehouse with Luke by the north fence, let him hammer crooked nails just to see the pride in his eyes. Emma learned to ride our old mare, Laura, holding her hand the whole time. Dinners on the porch, stars overhead, honest work and honest rest. I'd wake before dawn, brew coffee, step outside barefoot, just soaking in that peace. I remember thinking, we did it. We escaped. But nostalgia's a liar, isn't it? If I'd known what was coming, the letters, the threats, The way our ranch would become the eye of a storm, I'd have held on to those quiet days tighter. Our trouble didn't show up like thunder. It slipped in soft and sneaky like a breeze under the door. The first sign was just an envelope, plain white, no return address, postmarked from somewhere we'd never heard of. Laura found it jammed in our mailbox, holding it like it might bite. "Jack, you order something?" I shook my head, took a sip of coffee. She handed it over. Inside, "You are in violation of HOA Code 12. Remove all livestock within 14 days. I laughed, slow, confused. Honey, we're miles outside their boundary. We tossed the letter on the counter and forgot about it until the next morning when another showed up. Failure to comply will result in legal action and property lien. That word lien hits hard when you've built something with your own sweat. I checked the deed twice. No HOA. Never had been. Still, something about it got under my skin. I called the number on the letter expecting a mistake. The woman on the other end sighed like I'd ruined her week. "Sir, if your property shares access with HOA members, you fall under our regulation." I looked out at my private drive. "No, ma'am, that road's mine, cut into the survey before the development." She just clicked off, no goodbye, just a warning. After that, the letters kept coming. Some taped to the gate in screaming pink paper, some shoved under the porch mat, one wedged in the barn door, each angrier than the last. Final warning. Unauthorized structures. Fines exceeding $3,000. I tried to shield Laura and the kids from it, but little things started happening. Footprints by the barn gate latches moved a water trough mysteriously empty one morning. One evening, Luke came running. "Dad, there's a man outside. A short, round guy in khakis snapping photos by the barn." "Hey, you're on private property," he just sneered. "Compliance inspection. You'll regret this attitude." He snapped a picture of my plate and waddled off. That night I locked every door. At dinner, Laura stirred her soup, barely eating. "You think they're serious?" I squeezed her hand. "Whatever this is, it's not normal." A few days later, I woke up to find pink notices taped all across our gate. Final warning, $3,000 fine. Remove unauthorized structures. They'd printed my full name in bold like I was some criminal. For the first time, the ranch felt small, boxed in. I tore every notice down. Luke came out rubbing his eyes. "Are we in trouble?" I lied. "No, buddy. Someone else is." Later, we sat down with Derek, a lawyer friend. He combed through the deed surveys and letters, then took off his glasses. "Jack, your property's outside the HOA. You've got all the paperwork, but these people play dirty. They can't take your land, but they'll try to wear you out." Laura's voice cracked. "What do we do?" Derek said. "Document everything. And don't confront them alone." I thought it had calmed down, but next thing I know, I come home to a for sale sign hammered in my yard, black marker scrawled across it. "For pending SEOA property reclaim." Luke asked if we were moving. "No, son. We're not going anywhere." That night, I moved my rifle from the safe to the coat closet. I didn't want to, but I had to. After that, the ranch went quiet. Too quiet. For a week, nothing. Laura tried to convince herself they'd given up, but I could see the fear in her eyes. One night she whispered, "It's too quiet." Even Max, our old shepherd, started acting jumpy, low growls at the tree line. That night, I called an old army buddy, Mike. By noon, a box arrived, thermal sensors, military grade. I set them up around the property for the first time, feeling a little less alone. Then fifth night, I got a text block number. "You've been warned." Derek frowned. "We can file harassment, but without a cinder." Laura just stood there, arms folded, silent. That evening, Emma whispered, "Daddy, is someone coming tonight? A kid shouldn't have to ask that." "No, sweetheart. You're safe." But the air felt thin as glass. That night around 2 a.m., I woke up, just a feeling. Max was already alert, watching the hallway. I checked the rifle in the closet just to make sure it was there. Silence pressed down. Then the motion light flashed outside. The receiver from Mike's gear beeped, movement human height, northern tree line. I moved quiet. Then a soft metallic click. Someone was testing the back door handle. Old instincts kicked in. I took position by the door, rifle ready. Then I heard voices. Try it again. We're wasting time. Break it. The handle jerked and then crashed. A rear window shattered. Max barked like he was 5 years younger. Boots hit the floor. Laura screamed. I saw the intruder, black hoodie gloves, crowbar, bandana over his face. Max barked again. The bandana slipped, and I saw the face. Todd Kensington, my neighbor, my tormentor. He raised the crowbar toward the hallway. I didn't think I fired. The rifle roared. Todd spun, dropped the crowbar, fell to his knees, but then he looked up and grinned. You fell for it, Carter. Then sirens, too fast. Red and blue lights painting my kitchen walls. Realization hit. This was a setup, a trap. The door crashed in. Deputies rushed me, rifles drawn. Dropped the weapon. Laura sobbing. The kids terrified. I laid the rifle down, let them cuff me, drag me out. Todd, still on my floor, groaned. Played it up for the body cams. He shot me, no warning. But I knew he'd gotten what he wanted. At the station, Sheriff Daniel slid a tablet across the table. Your cloud backup saved you. Your cameras caught it all. We watched the footage, Todd testing the door, breaking the window, entering with a weapon. Daniels just shook his head. Under Texas law, that's self-defense. But Jack, something about this stinks. They wanted this open and shut. You got lucky. He let me go, but warned next time it'll be a courtroom, not a crowbar. 2 days later, we got served lawsuit from Todd assault with a deadly weapon, emotional harm, endangerment. They couldn't break in and take the house, I told Laura. So now they'll try to bleed us dry. But the real gut punch came with a petition for emergency removal of our kids filed by CPS. Claims of firearms unstable behavior, danger to minors, neglect in my house. Laura collapsed reading the letter. Derek stormed over fuming. They want to break your spirit, force you into a settlement or off the land. This isn't HOA amateurs. This is strategy. We built our case witnesses, school reports, everything. The courtroom hearing was brutal. CPS showed anonymous photos, false reports. But Derek rolled out the security footage, the character letters, and proof that the complaints all trace back to Todd's own IP address. The judge denied the removal, issued a restraining order. Laura cried with relief. We didn't win money or land that day, we won our children. But as we left, a black SUV sat idling across the street, just watching. I knew this wasn't over. That night, walking the pasture, I found a snapped fence post, fresh tire tracks, the old shed broken into. Inside, a black envelope. A USB drive, one line. He didn't follow instructions. On the drive, emails, payment logs, evidence that Todd was paid by a corporation, Litex Infrastructure Group, to harass us. Force us off, fake the abandonment of our land before a big government contract. They couldn't afford delays. I wasn't just a problem, I was a threat. Next morning, fires started across our property set with surveyor's precision smoke drifting toward the house, the sound of engines growing, a bulldozer coming straight for us. I yelled for Laura to grab the kids. We dropped into the storm cellar just as smoke rolled over the yard. Above us, the world roared, timber snapping, the porch collapsing, the bulldozer tearing through our home. Then sirens, lots of them. When it was finally quiet, I cracked the hatch. Black Suburbans, FBI DOJ deputies, Sheriff Daniels, men in cuffs. One, the bulldozer driver, muttering, "It wasn't supposed to go this far." Daniels nodded at me. "You're alive. That's what matters." An agent told me, "Your files blew this case wide open." Todd was arrested. So was the Litex exec who ran the whole scam, busted trying to shred records. It all unraveled: fraud, conspiracy, attempted murder. The DOJ issued a protective order. The lawsuit settled. Our land stayed ours. It took a year to rebuild. Neighbors, friends, even strangers helped. And one quiet evening I sat on my new porch, coffee in hand, Laura beside me, the kids laughing in the yard. For the first time in forever, peace felt real. "You think it's really over?" Laura asked. I looked across our land rebuilt stronger than before. "Yeah, it's over. And we're still here." Sun dipped golden behind the barn kids, still laughing. I whispered a promise to myself. No one ever takes this from us. But I'll ask you this. Where do you draw the line? What would you have done standing in my boots? Drop your thoughts below, share your story, and let's talk about what justice means when everything's on the line. If you've ever had to fight for your home, your family, your piece of the world, tell me. Because out here, sometimes all you've got is the truth and the will to stand your ground.